Good afternoon. Thank you all very much for joining us for a Sunday afternoon update. Just as a reminder to the entire community, we are continuing to deal with the aftermath of the storms that came through our area on Friday, which, as you heard from LG&E yesterday, was the third worst outage they've suffered in the last 20 years in the city. So this is a multi-day process that crews from our city government, working with our federal and state partners like LG&E, partners like Dare to Care that you'll hear from today, and others are working round the clock to help our community get back to where it was before the storm, to get back full strength. And really, I just want to start by saying thank you very much. Thank you to all of the hardworking men and women who are working around the clock, whether it's at LG&E, whether it's part of our public works team or another agency that is helping in this effort. Thank you. We are joined here today by some of the hardworking men and women that are part of the electrical maintenance crew with our public works department. A couple of them it's during a shift change right now. A couple of them have just gotten off their shifts, restoring traffic signals around the city. A few are going back out, and they are just representative of the thousands of people that are working around the entire city today to restore services in our city. So thank you very much. We have representatives here today from Public Works, from our emergency agencies, from JCPS, from Dare to Care, as well as federal officials here today. But first, we'll get to what I think is probably top of everyone's mind, and that is LG&E.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all of the responders who are part of this massive effort following Friday's storm. We want to thank our customers for your continued patience as our crews continue work around the clock to protect the public, assess and repair damages, and safely restore power to the communities we proudly serve across Kentucky. Through our mutual assistance partnerships, we've secured an additional 1,500 line technicians and support personnel from utilities from surrounding states. Yesterday and today, they're joining forces with our hundreds of employees and business partners and employees working behind the scenes in what is going to be a massive multi-day restoration event. As the mayor said, this is the third most significant weather event in 20 years in terms of total system impacts and the number of customers affected, ranking behind the 2009 ice storm and 2008 windstorm. Just to help summarize as well, this storm impacted 340,000 customers, down more than 2,500 power lines, and broke more than 230 utility poles. While our crews are working around the clock, we want to continue to remind the public to stay away from down lines. Safety is our priority. We cannot say that enough. Safety for our customers, safety for our community, and safety for our crews who are working in the field. Please always assume down lines could be energized and report them to us immediately. We have made significant progress with outages that can fluctuate based on additional damage still remaining from the March 3rd storm. Out of the 341,000 customers impacted, more than 200,000 customers across our service areas have been restored as of today. In our LG&E service area, 145,000 customers have been affected by this storm, and 72,000 customers' power has been restored. Again, numbers can continue to fluctuate, but there has been significant progress made in restoring customer service. We expect to make great progress in continuing to restore customers' power as our crews are transitioning to full restoration mode. Estimated restoration times, we know there are lots of questions around when will power be restored. Estimated restoration times are starting to become available for customers who remain without power, and more will continue to be added based on our crews' on-site assessment of system damage and the various degrees of difficulty of each repair the crews face. So each may be different depending on the circumstances. Each job is different and presents its own unique challenges for crews, which is why estimated restoration times can vary by customer. Our outage map, which you can access on our website and through our mobile app, is the best way to track our crew's restoration progress and stay informed of the latest estimated times of restoration. We've also, I mentioned we have hundreds of employees also working behind the scenes. We've handled more than 260,000 customer contacts, and more than 89% of those have been handled through automation, and this number will continue to grow. We have more than 40 crew centers across the state, and this is important because with those additional crews coming in, our hundreds of employees and business partners working out in the community, it allows us to strategically position and redirect resources to areas needed most. Other questions we've been getting is how we restore power. Service restoration takes place through a prioritization process that involves several different layers. While we work to restore customer service, we'll use our ability to reroute power when we can from our control center coupled with automating controls installed on our system. This limits the number of customers affected. That is done when we can. When there is damage in an area that may not be possible, we may need to make those repairs before power can be restored. As part of I mentioned our prioritization process. I'll walk through those steps. So in addition to the work that we're doing, we will first restore critical services in our community. This includes hospitals, fire and police stations, airports, and nursing homes. Next, we'll restore power safely to as many customers as we can. Then we repair any damaged equipment. Whenever possible, we'll make temporary repairs to restore power quickly and allow time for longer repairs to take place. Crews would come back at a later date. Then for customers still without power, it may be on their individual service line. This may be the line that provides power to their home or business. So for customers who are still without power, crews then make repairs to those individual power lines and service lines that feed directly to their home or business. Again, we can't stress safety enough. This is our top priority. If you see a downed wire, stay away from anything that may be in contact with the downed wire, and keep others away. Report down wires immediately to us by calling 502-589-1444. Again, we understand the significant impact it causes to customers who are without power, and we are working around the clock. This is what we're referring to as an all-hands-on-deck approach to get power restored to all of our affected customers. We thank you. We thank responders. We thank you. We thank our customers and our community for weathering this storm with us. And please rest assured, it is an all-hands-on-deck effort, and we will continue working around the clock for our customers and the communities we serve.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks to you and everyone at LG&E. I know many of your colleagues are currently working 16-hour shifts on, 8 hours off, and back at it just to continue to restore the service. So thank you all very much. As you all may recall, on Friday evening, I declared, following the governor's declaration of a state of emergency, I did the same for Louisville, Jefferson County, so that we could potentially access federal funding and other federal and state resources to assist us with the cleanup throughout the entire city. One of those partners in that effort is our Congressman, Morgan McGarvey, and he's with us here today.
Thank you to Mayor Greenberg, his team. Thank you to LG&E. Thank you for all the hard men and women who are doing the work out there. Look, as one of the thousands of Louisvillians right now without power, it's okay to be frustrated. But just because you don't see the truck on your street right this minute doesn't mean people are not out working. The crews are out working around the clock to get power back to as many people as possible. So even though I might smell like we haven't had power in 48 hours, I get the frustration, but please know the city, the state, LG&E are working around the clock. I echo the comments from LG&E to stay safe. please stay safe. Yesterday, we were out meeting with people, looking at damage, surveying, seeing what's going on. There were down lines near where I live at Dundee and Trevilian. And the sparks were so bright. It was in between the Murphys and the Fox's house. They said you almost needed sunglasses inside. It got so hot. It got so hot from the down power line that it literally turned some of the sand and gravel into glass on the street. Please stay safe out there. Please know that we are doing everything we can to restore power as quickly as possible, and you have amazing people doing amazing work. I also stress that as bad as things might seem right now for those without power, we're a little bit lucky. There was no one in the Louisville area who was killed by this storm. There have been some people who were injured. There was a firefighter who broke his back last night, and obviously we want people to be safe. We are frustrated as well. We did dodge a bullet in terms of casualties and in terms of overall injuries. So we're working, and then once we get power back on, we continue to assess the damage. As Mayor Greenberg said, the state of emergency from the city, from the state, will trigger a federal response in which we will be working to bring as much money back here as quickly as possible to make sure we make our community whole again. So I look forward to being a part of that effort, and really and truly stay safe. And I'm so appreciative of the work that our city crews and that the LG&E crews are doing 24 hours a day to get Louisville back on track as quickly as possible.
In terms of some of the city's response with respect to public works, a few updates. We are now down to a single-digit number of roads that are still blocked because of tree or other debris in the road, and the only reason for those is because they're interconnected with wires, and so we're collaborating with LG&E in partnership to clear those few remaining blocked roads as soon as possible. We are also working on, tomorrow we will start working on alleyways that may still be blocked as our public works folks get back out. As I mentioned earlier, we're here at the electrical maintenance crew headquarters for Public Works. One of the things that they have been working on is restoring traffic signals throughout the city. A reminder to everyone, if traffic signals are out and they're either just completely out or blinking red lights, please treat them as a four-way stop. We have had accidents on the street as a result of people not knowing how to handle that, so I encourage everyone to use caution when approaching an intersection where the traffic signals are out, and please treat them as a four-way stop. We know that there is a lot of debris in folks' yards around the entire community, and so we have taken some actions that we want to announce right now with respect to the cleanup effort in that. First, we are opening up 7 locations around the entire city where people will be able to bring their yard debris starting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. It will be open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. at 7 locations around the entire city. One of the locations will be located in Shawnee Park, and we'll provide all of this also with a graphic and specific information. So first, Shawnee Park. Second, the Public Works Yard at 10,500 Lower River Road. 3, there's a location right near Fairdale Elementary School at 10618 West Manslick Road. The 4th location is at Fern Creek Park. The 5th location is at Smith Creek Compost Facility on Aiken Road. The 6th location is at the Public Works Yard on Hubbard's Lane. And the 7th is the Waste Reduction Center located at 636 Meriwether Avenue. So again, we will get all of that information out with specific details of the addresses, a map that shows those 7 spread around throughout the entire city. So if anyone has debris that they would like to take, they can bring that starting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Also, we have decided to accelerate the time at which we start our yard waste collection by Public Works within the Urban Service District. So for those who live within the Urban Service District, yard waste collection will resume tomorrow morning. And so people can put their yard waste at the curb if they are in the Urban Service District. So to provide a little bit more information on some of the things that Public Works is doing, we're joined by Sal Melendez from Public Works. Sal?
Our Public Works crews have been working around the clock to make sure that everything is restored to a sense of normal operation. So our roads division has been able to clear debris from public roads, with the exception, as like the mayor said, of a few roads that are involved, or a few locales that are involved with power lines. So as soon as those are cleared, our crews will go to those and make sure that they are cleared for passage. Starting tomorrow, our roads crews will begin collecting that storm debris that has been pushed to the side of the road to make sure that our public roadways, the public right-of-way, is clear. As far as the locations that the mayor mentioned, they will be open from 7 a.m. from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So as long as it's necessary. And like you said, we're here at the electrical maintenance shop, and some of what also they've been working around the clock, and some of what they've been doing is the following, some of the information about them. As we work around the clock, we have 30 personnel and their support staff to make sure that traffic signals return to normal operation. And what takes place in those situations is that unless they are, as power is returned to them, they'll go into a flashing mode, and that will trigger a response for our crews to go there and restore them to normal operation. Anything that requires more in-depth repair of a given traffic signal will be documented, and crews will go back to make sure that there is a permanent fix to those. We are responsible for 1,000 traffic signaling devices in the metro. So we have our hands full. We have crew today we have 5 crews of 2-person teams, making sure that those intersections, those devices are restored to normal. And to reiterate the mayor's message, that treat those as a 4-way stop. You know, come to a complete stop. If it's clear to pass, then pass it, following what we remember as our driving school lessons. And now I'll move on to the guidelines on yard waste and storm debris. So you can, tree debris have to be separated from bulky waste. What I mean by that is anything that the storm may have blown into your yard, or like a portion of a fence or a shed, that is not part of a tree debris. So make sure that you separate those from trees and yard waste, so that the process to process, is expedited. That's to make sure that, we're moving fast. Our crews, as this is processed, we are moving fast at those locations, and we are able to take more content and process it, and it gets to the correct destination without any additional delays. So again, working around the clock, hazardous materials like paint, gases, or any chemicals are not accepted at these sites. And again, there will be open to the hours will be 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So visit the website, visit Louisville KY website, and you'll find all the information, all the maps of all the locations, and any additional information that you would require. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Just want to remind folks that 911 is for life-threatening emergencies. If you're calling about storm debris or wire down and things like that, you want to let Metro government know about it, use 311. We normally don't have 311 open on the weekends, but 311 is open this weekend. We took in 600 calls yesterday. We've taken in about 130 calls today. So please continue to make those phone calls so everybody knows what's going on. It helps all the people behind me understand the total picture that we're dealing with. And I just want to thank everybody at Metro Safe for all the work they've been doing. Took over 5,000 calls on Friday night, and they've still been going at it, and they've been doing a great job. Everybody has been doing a great job, and I really appreciate it.
Jefferson County Public Schools has also been working around the clock to deal with the aftermath of the storms on Friday, and we're joined here today by Carolyn Callahan, the Chief of Communications with JCPS.
Our housekeeping teams, our electrical renovations and roofing departments, plumbing and HVAC departments, and our grounds departments have been working throughout the weekend to see what damage that we have at our buildings and to also work with LG&E. Thank you to LG&E, who has been phenomenal in helping us get many of our schools back online. These numbers are constantly changing. As I drove over here today, I got a text message that 3 more schools had power again. That's how quickly this is happening. So right now, we have 21 schools without power or with partial power. That is down from 40 or so that we had at another time this weekend. 44 of our school campuses have trees or large limbs that are down. 1 school has broken windows that have been boarded up. We do have power lines down or on or near 3 of our school campuses. And 2 schools do have some flooding in 1 room in each of those schools. We are extremely thankful and grateful that that flooding damage and the damage in general is not even worse than it could be. Right now, we have nothing extremely significant in the flooding department. Again, that is 1 room in 2 different buildings that have sustained some flooding, and our crews are already there working on that now. To give you an idea of some of the damage that we're seeing, at Maupin, there is a partial fence down. Slaughter has a light pole down by the playground. Jeffersontown Elementary School has some siding off the building. That is something that we've seen. Shingles blow off roofs. We see siding come off buildings. We also have 25 schools right now that do not have internet access. So our teams are, of course, working on that as well. If we are unable to have school tomorrow, we will let families and the community know as soon as we have that answer. We send out that information through social media, through text messages and emails, and we will let families know as soon as we know what's going on. Again, this is a very fluid situation. As I said, just driving over here, we were getting more schools online. So we are at about 21 schools right now without power or with partial power. We are working through that, and we will let you know as soon as we have a decision on whether or not we can safely have school tomorrow. That is, of course, our number 1 priority. If we cannot safely have school tomorrow, we will not. If we can get everything back online and make sure that there is no severe damage and nothing that would be a safety issue to our more than 96,000 students and 17,000 staff members, then we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you to all the men and women who are working diligently to help all of us to be able to return to some sense of normalcy. And at Dare to Care, we recognize those who have experienced these power outages across our community. One of the things we wanted to ensure that we are able to meet our neighbors that are hit in those hardest areas the most, who have the longest term in terms of not having power, and also who have the less resources that they have to go and replenish the food that they have. One of the things that we're providing, Dare to Care, we're working hard to be able to resolve a lot of the issues that we're seeing in our community as it relates to lack of food. And so our first response is to ensure, again, those areas that are hardest hit, and we're going to disperse our mobile pantry, which will be going to 3 locations on tomorrow. This information is also, you can find it on our website at daretocare.org. From 10 to 12 a.m., we're going to be at the Catholic Enrichment Center at 3146 West Broadway. From 1 to 3, we'll be at the Newburgh Community Center at 4810 at Baxter Avenue, and then we will be at the St. Stephen's Baptist Church from 5 to 7. That's located at 1015 South 18th Street. We will be in the parking lot directly across from the church. And on Tuesday, March the 7th, Dare to Care will be fortifying 2 current sites that we have scheduled already. That is from 10 to 11:30. We'll be at the Partland PAC, 2500 Partland Avenue, and then from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. we will be at the Holy Name Catholic Church at 2933 4th Street. In Dare to Care, we are truly committed to supporting our neighbors who are in need during this critical time. And we also have experienced some disruptions ourselves at our 28th and Virginia site that we have had power outages there. So it's disrupted some of the service that we're going to be able to provide. But the good news is that we came back online this morning, so we're going to be able to disperse food as well. And so I want you to be able to follow Dare to Care on social media to get any kind of updates as it relates to food. And we're working with our partners and Metro Council. We're working with our partners in Louisville City government to ensure that we are getting the food to the folks who are in need. So make sure that you are checking our website, connecting with folks that we can ensure that you're getting the food that you need and have access to it. And so if you're looking for ways to help, you also can help in multiple ways. You can help by volunteering, or you can help by donating. You can donate resources as it relates to dollars, because one of the things is that for every dollar that is donated, we're able to provide 6 meals for families in our community. And so it's much more efficient to be able to manage the dollar and getting more healthy and food for our neighbors. And also we want to make sure that if you want to volunteer, you can volunteer. You can go online and register at volunteer@daretocare.org. So we need your help. We need your support. The great thing about our community is whenever we face a challenge, we step up. And one of the things I want to encourage and challenge you as well is that this is the time that you can look out for your neighbor. Simply call someone to see how they're doing. One of the things Dare to Care started in 1969 as a tragic result of Bobby Ellis dying of malnutrition on Thanksgiving Eve. And I talked with his sister last year, and I was just checking in with her, and she said, you know, if somebody would have checked in with my family some 50 plus years ago, my brother would have never died. And so I'm just challenging you and encouraging you to just check on your neighbor. It's definitely time to be my brothers and sisters' keeper.
Thank you so much, Vincent, for everything that you and your entire team at Dare to Care does around all year long, and particularly in challenging times like this. And finally today, speaking of helping others and being safe, we're joined by Major Cooper from the Louisville Fire Department that's going to talk about a few safety tips in terms of what to do both with in your yard and also as power begins to come back on for those that don't have it.
What events like this demonstrate is that public safety is the priority of all Metro government, not just emergency services. So what we want to do now is educate you on how to stay safe and how to remain safe. And the first thing is to understand the significance of the event and the magnitude that's occurred of the event, and that you still need to remain safe. There's still a lot of hazards out there. So 3 things that I'll tell you are fire safety, carbon monoxide safety, and then injury prevention. So first, let's start with fire safety. So to reduce the risk of injuries following things like this where there's power outages, make sure that your oven, that your stove, especially if they're electric, that they're turned off. And any other kind of kitchen appliances or small appliances that you may have, making sure that they're turned off and that they're unplugged to prevent any fires that may occur once electric is restored. Also understand that your smoke alarms, a lot of people have hardwired smoke alarms now and carbon monoxide detectors. Those aren't working right now unless you have a battery backup. So if you have those hardwired smoke alarms, make sure that you get some battery-powered smoke alarms to place inside your homes. For lighting, don't use candles. Use flashlights. Go buy some batteries and buy some flashlights. Home Depots, Lowe's, Kroger's, any kind of store will have plenty of flashlights for you. And then, of course, alternative heating. It's warming up, but still the evenings get cool. So making sure that if you're using that fireplace or something else, that you're prepared to operate it properly and that it's been inspected and there's going to be no hazards there. Take the opportunity to practice your escape plan from a fire as well. If you're without power, you're looking for something to do with your kids, practice that escape plan and know how you're going to do it in the dark or with limited lighting as well. Again, remember things like a place to meet and making sure that you get your kids out as quick as possible. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Carbon monoxide poisoning is one of the leading causes of death following a natural disaster, and that's what we've clearly had here is a natural disaster. So if you have a carbon monoxide detector in your house, again, remember, it needs to be battery operated right now. Generators, a lot of you are going to be using generators. So we reiterate this all the time, but if you're using that generator, make sure that it's 20 feet away from your home, that you have your doors and your windows closed, also making sure that the exhaust fumes are directed away from the home so that you're not bringing that carbon monoxide into the house. Propane and charcoal barbecues, we often see people who will bring those into the home to cook on or to keep warm. Do not do that. It emits a tremendous amount of carbon monoxide. It builds up very quickly. So make sure that you're using those outside with your generators or any kind of propane heater or things like that. If you're going to refuel it, making sure that you're letting it cool down, the generator or the heater, let it cool down. and then refuel it. Also making sure that you're using a proper way to store that fuel, and that you're storing the fuel outside of your home. And lastly, injury prevention. So look, we've got a lot of down power lines. We've also got a lot of tree limbs that are down. We have damage to homes, gutters, things like that. Ladders are one of the most dangerous tools in the world. Also chainsaws. So what you have is you have high-risk tools and low frequency of use, and that's a recipe for disaster and injury. So making sure that you're being patient, that you're using cautious actions when you are using those ladders, making sure that you have a spotter, somebody out there with you. If you're going to be out doing this kind of work, it's dangerous. So making sure that you're talking to your family, that you're letting a spouse, that you're letting your children, or if you live alone, that you're calling somebody saying, hey, I'm going outside to do some work. If you don't hear from me in a couple hours, check on me. So making sure that we're checking on each other, which then I want to make sure that I echo what Vincent just said, checking on each other. So making sure that those that are without power, that you're checking on them. This message that we're sharing right now, if you don't have power, then more than likely you're not watching TV. You might have some internet access from your phones, things like that. You may not be able to listen to the radio. So if you have power and you're hearing this message, making sure that you're sharing that message with those that do not. And again, just looking out for your neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Cooper. And just one other update is to notify folks on is we know that there is a lot of debris out there. Burning debris in your yard is not legal in Louisville. It's also not safe. Yesterday we believed that we had a house fire that was caused likely as a result of someone burning debris in their yard. A firefighter, as Congressman McGarvey mentioned earlier, was injured in battling that blaze. And that is not the safe approach. Do not burn debris in your yard. If you have debris and you live within the urban service district, please leave it out for Public Works to pick up. If you live outside the urban service district or even inside the urban anywhere, you can bring it to one of the 7 debris drop-off locations that we announced earlier today. And so please, if your neighbors have debris in their yard, and as has been said several times today, they are not able to clear, lend a helping hand. When you check in on others, lend a helping hand with what they need. Help them with debris. If they're in need of food, help them. If you have the ability to share some of your food with them. If someone is without power and doesn't want to be by themselves, if you have an extra bed or a couch in your house, please invite your neighbors in, your friends and family in to help others who are still in need.